Hello, storytellers. It's Storytelling Ron. I'm here to talk about creating adventures in For the Lord RPG. Or not only talk, run through it. I had so much fun just doing it yesterday. I want to do it again today. So let's just get into it. So I provide this here list is kind of like it's just an extra list, but I did it as like, well, if you're maybe doing a longer campaign, if it's a one night with your visiting family or whatever, then I wouldn't recommend this. But if you plan on doing a longer campaign, this is the stuff that say you could do along the road that they're traveling. Number one, raiders or bandits are terrorized in local areas they pass through. That's a tough one right there. So you could have so basically they're going to get robbed and they got to deal with that. Do they fight them? Do they try to evangelize them? Because these bandits want your stuff and they're going to attack you if you don't give them your stuff. Now the cleric has rebuke, so they could try to break down their spirit. The warrior can just fight them or defend. The nun can repulse and plea and to use those blessings again on them to defend herself or someone or her friends, and then hold her pan, and then she can what else? She can scream. She can, whatever. She has a pan. And then she always has the indomitable I see an angel. But I always like them to use I see an angel, the nuns, for when something kind of demonic or powerful happens. So I discourage them from using it all the time. But if they're in a desperate situation, I certainly understand. And then the patron lady has her crossbow, but she can try to use social skills to try to get them to, stop doing what they're doing or whatever, and say she's, who knows? I mean, she could convince them. So there's plenty of opportunity for not letting them, attack, but there's always the threat of that. So number two, raiders have a nearby encampment. They might discover their encampment or where they're stopped and, maybe try to avoid it or not. Depends on some roles there. Slave traders have set up an illegal operation to kidnap locals. Yeah, so that's pretty, it's similar to the bandits, but they're purposely trying to get people, kidnap people. So that's going to be a rough one. Yeah, I mean, you may want to stop and create a whole adventure around that. And you can tone it down a little. Maybe it could be, if it's it could be like a little wagon with a couple of people and then they get a sense that there's people in there or people tied up. But the slave traders probably think they're just, hey, we can do this. Go on. It's none of your business, There's that aspect of this, that this all is culturally acceptable. So you need to play that too when you're playing the pagans. It's acceptable to raid and steal. It's acceptable to be slavers because you have the power. Remember, there's no local authority in a sense. If the community, if the farms and scattered settlements are alone, there's no sheriff, there's no law. So these raiders and slavers are the ones in the power, so they have the right to do that. Why not? Whew. There is a murderer nearby who has gained one demonic power. Yeah, that's pretty creepy. So it could be that they're just really strong. They're and they use that to take what they want, or they could be they don't feel any pain. It could be like a disease thing. They could be rabid. They just running around crazy on drugs type of thing, and they need more drugs. Whatever it is. I don't that they maybe a witch is giving them drugs and lets them unleashes them to terrorize or seek vengeance or revenge on a community that expelled her, kind of thing. So you can come up with any little just crazy person that just runs, comes after them. And the clerics or the clergy should be able to sense that this person has been blah, blah, blah. And you could build that out to some sort of, especially the main sources of evil too are the witches and sorcerers who concoct these sort of drugs to do this type of thing. And they could be somewhere, whether they find them or not, somewhere in the area. Or whether they're tied into the thing that they're coming up on. A bear or boar of unusual size and ferocity has terrorized the local farmers and livestock. Same thing. A witch has laced, some food, mushrooms, whatever with drugs to get kind of like that Cocaine Bear movie that's coming out soon. I want to see that. It's coming out I want to go see Jesus Revolution, and then the same night as Cocaine Bear is coming out. So I'm like, I'm going to go see Jesus Revolution first, but I will go see Cocaine Bear. I want to support, I actually do want to support movies, man. Because I like going to movies, but anyway. So a bear, a boar of unusual, and this is a true story, Cocaine Bear. And so back then, obviously, witches and shamans can easily find drugs or weird things that mess up people, and they're going to mess up animals, and they're going to feed it to the big ones. And, they're going to raise these things, kind of like the Rancor, in Star Wars. They're going to raise these creatures. Back then, we were way more tied into our animals than we are today. I mean, they can make you can make a demonic bull, a bull that has been, raised on amphetamines and steroids and stuff, and that thing can be raging the countryside, and the witch is like, causing it. So, number 6, some ex-soldiers or barbarians have taken over a place from a known lord or monastery. So that one's a basic, that's a cool one right there. You just have a group that have taken over an area, and they've imprisoned everybody, enslaved everybody. And the missionaries come through and see this and, welcome, come in, have some food with us. And then they're looking around and seeing these guys look different from these locals. What's going on here? Whew. See? 7, there is a local plague that has made all the rats rabid zombie rats. That should be fun. Come into an area, everyone's hiding or, living in the trees or something, whatever. Just make it kind of funny but crazy. And these zombie rats. And number 8. I think at the end of this video, I'm going to do the monsters again. I'll probably do a separate video, but about the monsters and the creatures and how to play them and what their stats are and what they mean and stuff. And it's very simple, but it feels like Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, it feels like OSRs, and that's what I did. I did it the best I could, making a simple game system that feels like just like D&D. Once you know the basics of what I've figured out, it's very easy to then just, I'm the kind of GM who wants to just be able to create things quickly and not look everything up. So I keep itching my nose. So it's at that level. Okay. Number 8, a leader with a special demonic power and his gang are attacking merchant wagons. So again, some person that, some special demonic power. I don't, you're going to make something up. How would some guy in his group, and remember, merchant wagons generally have more security, right? So, so this guy, this leader will be able to know, find, or attack merchant wagons. See, I kept it vague so that you could come up with your own idea about that. And you can go off if you don't like that idea, you can just ignore it or do something else. But a leader with special demonic power and his gang are attacking merchant wagons. So again, the merchant wagons are going to be long trains. I'm going to say, it's so at night. And maybe this person has an ability to shadow, like just in the shadows, stays in the shadows, and they're all scared, the merchant wagons, and they build large fires, but the shadows, and the clergy is going to sense this. And what they could do is say, so let's just say this leader has an ability to, an evil spirit gives them a shadow. So when he comes up and sneaks up on them and takes out the guards, then his men attack. They can sense that shadow, and then they can try to repel or expel that shadow and rebuke the evil spirit that this individual seems to have in him. It gives them a shadow, and makes them hide so they can't see him, or, pretty hidden. But the clergy can sense. So clergy with their spirit can sense otherworldly, demonic power. And they have them roll for it. If they roll above a 12, they will sense it. So they're like, aha, this person has something, that you need to see. There you go. So you just kind of mull it over. Just kind of think about it. When you set up when you're prepping, things that you can do. So they'll come across this wagon people, this train wagons, and they look very beaten and torn, and they're trying to get through quickly, but then they have to camp, and then everyone is in fear, and they try to build big fires because they're just in fear. So they're like wondering what's wrong with these people. See? And then that night. Number 9, a small settlement or town is asking for help against a vicious tribe of barbarians that will attack them very soon. That one's kind of fun and cool. That's like a little, uh, you know, Seven Samurai type of thing. Okay. And 10, an unusually warm year has brought a prehistoric beast into the area. Yeah, it has nested in a nearby building, or maybe the water mill nearby, or the windmill or whatever, and kills livestock. All residents have boarded themselves in their homes. That's a basic one there. And I have some prehistoric beasts. I have the rhinos looking things, and the giant lizards, and the dragons, and the dinosaur things. Crocodile. And to me, the crocodiles in Italy are kind of, I feel like a lot of them are based on, say, Roman generals or Caesars, or rich people bringing crocodiles from Africa into Italy, and having them as pets, and then getting rid of them, and then they go sort of flourish in nearby marshes and stuff. And there's a really big warming period about 1000 AD where everyone it's way warmer than it even is today, that they had in Europe, because in England they grew grapes in England. Monks did, so they have an account for that. But today they can't, because it's not as warm. Although I don't know if there's a warm period now, but there wasn't a way warmer period in 1000 AD. So I'm just kind of taking that and saying that the area is much warmer, so that these crocodiles can thrive and get big, since they don't have any natural predators. And so, and that's true of ancient history too. Creatures back then did get bigger because they had more room. There was more there for them to flourish, especially reptiles, than there is today. And so we're going to have, prehistoric, and I say prehistoric using the evolutionary term, which I don't believe in, but I'm using it just as a common denominator type of thing. Okay, so number 11, local mongrel ogres have encamped nearby and are threatening, stealing, and beating locals. So just a bunch of big guys, bunch of, giant-y looking 8-10 feet, huge basketball player type dudes that are big and not skinny, but they're big. And, think about that. When basketball players today are 7-8 feet, and I mean, they're technically giants. I'm 6'1", and those dudes would tower over me, and I would say that's a giant if they were up to 8 feet, like Shaq size, but even bigger, because these dudes are, so that's the kind of thing I'm using as ogres, giants, and trolls. And to me, trolls are the same thing, but they're just more disease ridden, like leprosy maybe, or they're just not taking care of themselves, right? So they're living in the wild and getting a little crazier, and getting rashes and diseases and pustules, and their hair is probably growing out to horrible dreads, and so you can have that sort of thing as a troll. 12, a dragon, a Draconis raptor, is eating the local livestock and spreading fear. So you've got dragons in this game, and these things are terrifying and big, and just their bite is enough. But I wouldn't, even the Bible does certainly have behemoth that has a fire breath, so you could use a fire breath like a bobbit or beetle. I haven't done that, put that in my stats yet, but you can certainly put in fear. You could put in a roar that just paralyzes them, and and is that like literally as bad as a fire breath, because if your characters are useless and they're literally, and I've taken out duration. I'm going to go through spell stuff and casting in another video, but to keep this simple for us GMs, I've taken out duration pretty much, and basically you can resist every turn, and it will go away if the thing changes, if you get out of there, if you don't see it anymore, that kind of thing. So like if you get poisoned and you're coughing, you won't be able to, it won't change until you resist it, or two, you get out of that room, and get some air. So instead of duration doing it, which, you got to count which one, they have to actually, I want to teach them in the game and the GM that you just have to get out of that condition. Okay, so that's the 12 I've done, and you can come up with other ideas or variations of the theme. Again, the church activity, just to give you a little view of what the churches were starting to do in the 6th century, 7th century round. And then this is the village activity that you can have. Obviously, paganism, a way you can kind of play these things, their attitudes. Okay, so let's just do another adventure. Let's start with D4, and then I'm going to go to D6 and D. So number 2, criminal group posing as demonic activity. That's totally that's today, right? Criminal group posing as demonic activity. So And that's kind of the first mission I did, the Mines of Ravia, where the horned ones, and they were a criminal sort of group running mines, and they dressed up in the horns, antlers. Now there actually was demonic activity, but you could do the similar thing, especially at low level. They could just have some big dude that they dress up in at night and terrorize the village, and then the next day, the shaman comes in and says, "You don't want this, so you must sacrifice, to me. We will go to the grove and all come and sacrifice." And then, of course, the person that dressed up in that scary outfit, doesn't do it again, or the missionary's got to find where it is. So I would have this costume set up in a cave somewhere, that they can go, and then they got to find clues as to where they saw this thing at night and go look there, and then find the trail, find a pathway in the forest in the dark night. And then they go to, the bandit camp where the shaman is. And of course there's the outfit standing there. Or, the way they could lure it out is if, say, they have to go and give to this person every moonlit night, this ritual. And if they say, don't do it, the missionaries will take care of it. Then they wait till that. And fast forward time too, let them rest or let them hang out there, do some preaching. People are like, okay, but the demon's going to come back, kind of thing, and then fast forward to that night. And then, so you don't have to, concerning days and weeks, I would just fast forward to whenever you need to go to. I wouldn't worry about, and then they could role play out. Do you do anything during the week while you're waiting for the moon to come again? And you don't even have to do the moon. You could just say tomorrow night, if you want, just so that it makes it more exciting. In the first ever thing I did with this to try to get my head wrapped around paganism and Christianity was the very first mission doing that sort of D12 thing. I should probably put it in there. They come to a forest, and there's a woman there with their sons, and they're big barbarian sons, and they have a shrine there, and they told the missionary, the Christians, if you want safe passage through the forest, come to our altar and give to Pan. He will protect you. See? Right there. Imagine playing that with your kids, and she tells them, if you do an offering to Pan, the forest god, and you will have safe passage through the dark forest. Pan owns this forest with his evil spirits. So what's happening is that her and her sons have laid out traps throughout the forest. They have a boar in a pit that they can unleash. They have a couple of wolves that they have in their encampment, because the path kind of winds around, and they have a secret path going straight up that they can get to these and unleash them. So that's the kind of basic stuff the basic premise really of most of these missions is that the pagans have set up some sort of criminal activity, and it gets worse and worse and worse to the point where demonic influences come in because they've done so much evil, that they get more and more powerful. And that's the missionaries come in and break that up, So, so that's I've already figured that one out, that for the first one. But let me, that one's done, so I don't even need to go to the rest of these. I already kind of feel like so let's just start a new one. Because I already got up an idea. I don't need any more of the guys, So let's do another one. I'm going to go to die 6 now. 5, okay. Feared sorcery and minions. Feared sorcery and minions. I think feared sorcery should be feared sorcerer. I think sorcerer. Let me retype that right now. Thank you for helping me. Feared sorcerer and minions. Okay, that makes more sense. So there's a sorcerer and minions. Okay. All right. Well, now what? Sorcerer. Okay, that's a sorcerer and their minions. So it's got some warriors, and obviously Germanic barbarian, a sorcerer. So to me, men and women in the even in paganism is very different. And I've been reading the history books and the monks, and they've noted that like 78% of most pagan leaders were women. The witches. They ran most of it. Sorcerers were generally rare. They weren't rare, but they were not in the majority. But anyway, whatever. So sorcerer and minions. Okay, so in a sorcerer's male, witches. Oh, I'm going to put in new names for the witches. Hexa and Stiga. So I just read that recently in some of the books. Hexas, and Stigas. Stigas is the Germanic version. Striga or Stiga, something like that. I got it in my notes. And Hexans, Hexen is the Germanic curse. Hexas were the witches. So I'll be putting that in, throughout here because witch is generally more 13th, 14th century English, whatever. Okay, so, but the sorcerer and minions. Okay, well that's a basic premise. So let's see what they're doing now. Pagan motive. I want a pagan motive. All right, D8. 8. Oh my gosh, that's finding demonic power, realize his own damnation, and are obsessed with tyranny and deception even unto themselves. Oh boy, that's the worst one. So they're all in. This sorcerer is all in on his. He's got some demonic powers. So he's gonna have some scary. Okay, I'm scared now. All right, modus operandi 4: greed, money, or brigands and bandits. I still got to rewrite the greed thing. Money or brigands and bandits stealing and taking from locals. They want riches through criminal activity. So that makes sense right there. They're gonna just keep taking and taking. And this, to me, I feel like this sorcerer then, he's on a throne in a cave somewhere, and he is just, I want all, the slaves and riches I can have before I must go to damnation. So he's like suicidal, but taking everything he can. So that's sort of like a journey into darkness type of thing there. So he is just on a suicide mission, taking as much as he can, living his life with them, stealing the wine, kidnapping women or children, whatever. But we'll keep it family friendly. Just kidnapping people and making them slaves in the cave, and they're living it up. They're getting drunk, they're partying. Then they take some, and in their drunkenness, the next day they go and attack again. They do rituals, and they're just attacking, and they're violent. Why not? Right? 1. Local disposition. Wow. So the minions are all in. I'm going to say, instead of the village, I'm not going to say the villagers are all in, because that's generally local disposition is for the villagers, right? But to me, violent evil means that the minions are all in on this. So he has a bunch of minions that all believe in what he's doing. They're all in on that. And that's probably his demonic power. His power is that he is controlling his people, his minions, to all succumb to the greed and I'm going to say they probably all wear jewelry, very expensive jewelry that they've murdered and stolen and stuff, and the villagers all in the area are all they're all sort of very defensive, right? They're all fleeing, and so that's a whole uproar going on in this area. Woo! See? So there you are. Oh, so let me here. This is the examples. I probably should move them around so that these are all together, but whatever. But I'll figure that out. Location source. So here, I'm going to say where. Well, I said in a cave. I kind of feel like it should just be in a cave somewhere, or encampment. I like the cave thing, so I may just stick with that. But let me roll this. 2, encampment, bandit, or war band. Okay, so I like the cave thing. They're in some sort of cave. He's got a throne in there. He's killed people, taken all their stuff. It's very sad. Okay, so that's boom. There's your setup. That's gonna be a tough one. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. Let's do D8 for local pagan activity. Okay. 1. Runs and owns trinket offerings to local spirits and statues or groves. The reason why I went, it's because I did this the other day, and then this is supposed to be a harder one. All right, let's just stick with it. Runs and owns trinket offerings to local spirits or statues or in groves. So they're going to come on to an area where you see a bunch of, creepy stuff, statues that along the roads, because they had a lot of those back in the Roman and Greek areas. You come along to an area and there'd be a grove, and you got to do some sort of sacrifice. So let's do the motive of the pagans. 6, finding power, seeks black magic. So they're finding power, as in they got they have the village itself, and the local lord or whatever is all in on this, right? And so the next thing they're doing is so if they're seeking black magic, the next thing they're doing is like sacrifices or whatever to call. So they're calling spirits. They're going to do it at those statues or groves or whatever. So they're going to have these rituals where they're going to be calling their, you got to, and paganism too can be, it can be sort of like the pantheon of Greek and Roman gods, or the Germanic ones, or it can be a local evil spirit too, because they have a lot of that. So I'm going to just say like Hulda is a witch. Hulda is a female goddess that they, I think it's Hulda. I'll get the right, I have it in my notes, but Hulda, I'll look right now. Diana was one, because they did take Diana from the Greek and Roman. But the Germanic one was Hulda, I think. Where is it? I'm going to put this in the book, or in the PDF, because I really thought this was cool. Sorry. There we go. Hulda, I was right. And so, the night women. They called them the witches, the night women in service of Hulda. Oh, they feared that they roamed around mounted on beasts. They flew around through the air mounted on beasts. I wonder if that's the flying dreams that we all tend to have. And so the witches and the women back then thought that was real. But obviously I'm going to extrapolate that out into they're doing something in the night, flying around. Anyway, so I'm going to say it's a witch, and she's got these groves, and she is doing animal sacrifices and calling out to demonic spirits. Right? And the lords join her. So she is so power hungry that she has to impress everyone even more. And so she's calling out the evil spirits. Does she have it? I don't think so. But she certainly has them on her side. Right? So let me see her modus operandi. This is just a guide to manipulative. So she's very manipulative. She's curses others, makes beasts feral, causes a dark god problem that only they can cure. So she's going to, I would say, maybe she has she knows how to make their children sick, right? Their children are sick with a poison or curse, and they come to her knowing that only she, calling on the demonic forces, can cure their children, kind of thing. So you could do that, right? As a pull some heartstrings there. But let me go to local disposition. What are the local villagers feeling? 6. Listeners, having heard the answer, knows there must be an answer, seeks it, still defensive, still apprehensive, and fears evil all too well. A great preaching or selfless act may help. So that's a good one there. So the villagers there, they know about Christianity, they know about Christian God, but this one is too powerful and and we suffer, and we can only get help through her God. So there, you got a little dynamic there. What sort of adventure? Manipulative. So she could make a beast feral that could defend her. I would say for this, because it feels like a town adventure in a sense. I would also think that she's in town, right? If she's finding power, seeks black magic, she could be an advisor to the town. She has all these shrines around the town that she does rituals with them on, and people get sick. So she can make people sick and then has the cure. But let me, just for my own sake, I'm going to, again, roll this location of the pagan activity, or location source. Local farmstead, taken or allied. So she could taken by them, or the farmstead works with them. So she could be, whatever, on a farm nearby or just in a building nearby, I would say in the village. And she's in control of finding power. So she's going to have certainly some, I like she can make the animals feral. So maybe there's a bull nearby. I might have that bull be nearby that she can unleash on the missionaries if she feels threatened by them. So I have to work this out even more, because this one, doing like a town adventure with no, say, creatures, man, it's really about role playing and how far does it go. but giving her certain powers. Again, she can cause people to be sick. She has some sort of secret little powder that she uses and curses them as she comes around, and just comes and meets them in the market kind of thing to make them sick, and then, walks off. Have a nice day. And then she could do that to the missionaries. They'd have to go to her place to say, find proof maybe of what she's doing, her concoctions. And in there, she can unleash the bull. Like, let's say she's at a farmstead and she's taking over the farmstead. So the farmers and all that are, they're obviously going to be hopeful that the Christians can do something about her, but they're fearful of the Lord because the Lord, has a sick daughter. But that would be a cool, fun trap, is that they have to go to her farm. I somehow get them out to her where she does her stuff. Maybe the farmer fesses up to them quietly somehow, that she's in there all night and day doing things, and foul smells come out of there, and I don't know what she's doing, and blah, blah, and then there's they have a bull that seems kind of innocent, but then if she tells the farmer to do that, forces him to lure them, and then maybe they can detect that he's hiding something. And then, so that's the exciting sort of finale, is this bull. Because if they go into where she's making her concoctions, they can discover that she's making these poisons and diseases that caused the local lord's daughter to be sick, and that she's, or the people that she, various people have gotten sick, and she has climbed the ladders of healing them. So that she's considered a healer by everybody, even though she's the one causing the same frightful plague by an evil spirit, right? And she says, we must appease this evil spirit that comes in and causes this paralyzing thing. So she has a paralyzing poison that she can actually do as well. Okay. Yeah. So something like that. See how you come up with these things. You gotta kind of, it's like a fun little jigsaw puzzle. And once you figure out those, all right, I'm going to do one more. Okay. One more on this video. I'm just doing this on the fly. Just right. Okay. Woo. Feels good, actually. Feels like a fun GM thing to do, right? Local pagan activity. I'm going to do a die 12 now. And see, that last one was a die 1, and yet I still was able to make sort of a scary, thing at the level I want. And here's a great thing about this game that I love, and that's why I'm so against 5e and all that now. Not even like against the wokeness and the secularism that's out of it. This one, there's no levels. You don't go 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th level. You get glory points, and you buy, you just basically get little things here and there. You can create your own skills that you want to start doing. You can upgrade your vitality, your hit points, and they're very small incremental things, and they get more and more expensive too as you get more of them. So you're always going to be able to fight the same stuff and that's reality. No matter how good and more experienced I am, a crazed bull is going to be a threat. A boar is going to be able to still a threat to me, right? So think of it in D&D terms. No matter how experienced I am, I'm going to still have a threat with kobolds and goblins because of the way the system works. I am not going to become a superhero ever in this game. I'm always going to be, a warrior, paladin, whatever. But I'll have more options, but I'm still going to be threatened by the same stuff in the game. It might be a little bit, of course, but not super stupid superhero crap. All right, let's go on to local pagan activity, D12. 11. Ooh, ancient site of horrifying rituals haunted. See? Wah! Okay, so now you really are in it now, GM. Grand Minister, you have to make an ancient site of horrifying rituals. Whew. Let's take a moment. Okay, so it could either be a Roman, in this Dark Ages, a Roman or Germanic, right? I'm gonna go Germanic because I've done a couple of Roman things here already in my PDFs that are coming up. Ancient Germanic site, horrifying rituals. We're talking sacrifices, family friendly, so we'll do animal sacrifices, and buried kings or chiefs or whatever kind of thing. Where they could be propped up as their bodies, right, as skeletal remains. creepy of the dead kings and we worship you, okay. And then animal sacrifices and stuff. But if it was, of course, if it was all adults playing, we all agreed that we could do, R-rated, then it'd be human sacrifices. But anyway, pagan motive, D8. Okay. 1. Okay, well, good intentions, though, really, just didn't know. How am I going to turn? That's a tricky one right there. We just didn't know. We were just, I mean, you could have it to where the barbarians go and visit the ancient horrifying site. And as just this is what we do. We sacrifice our animals to our kings, our dead fallen kings. And it's horrifying. But we didn't know. This is how it, this is what we do. So, all right, let's go with this. Let's just, I'm letting the dice rule, but you don't have to. This is a guide. If you don't like that, you can change it or just the ancient site of horrifying rituals is enough. Haunted, by the way. It could be haunted. Yeah, for sure. But so the people that go there, I would assume they do it like a Disneyland trip, like where they, it's kind of creepy, like maybe they're dance around. Maybe, yeah, they're all like happy. And then when you discover the site, you're like, whoa, this is, they sacrifice animals. We were honoring our dead. We're honoring our dead here. Come and see how we are good. And, doing this. Modus operandi. Let's see what the local sort of sorcerer shaman who runs this gamut, what his intentions are. 4, greed. Pay, give sacrifices. Very good. And he does a show. So, the locals, what's their disposition on this as they go do this innocent thing? 7, considering. Okay, so they're just trying to honor the dead. They're just trying. So this is kind of turning into a. But that's what I like about this too, and that it's a horrifying thing. They're animal sacrificing. They're doing this rituals. It's a carnival, right? A macabre carnival, macabre carnival, where they're just doing this thing, and that you got to come in and convince them otherwise. And so actually the people are considering the faith. Seeing Christians at work, has had positive run-ins with the church. Still holds to old ways, right? Doing this carnival thing, this macabre carnival. Could fall back into evil pagan practices, but certainly hoping for a better way. Seeing successes against pagan threats could bring this out. So, what kind of a threat? I don't know. So far, the only threat is the haunted thing. I think that's the clue right there. But one last thing I want to do. The ancient site of horrifying rituals. I want to roll this just to give me, I may not follow this roll, but I'm going to roll just to see if it'll give me a 12. Old hidden Christian ossuary and church of a saint probably desecrated. Okay, haunted. Wow. So this thing turns out to be a burial site, or was once they discover it was once a monastery somewhere. So you got to make a clue that they're actually doing this on top of they're sort of dancing on the graves of monks or something, of Christians. So but the good intentions, no, really, I just didn't know. So they don't know. So the haunting, man, this one's tricky, and I don't want this to turn into a thing where, as Christians, you get, say, a dream from a monk ghost who then tells you, oh, my body's being desecrated and you need to go and clear that out. In that sense, I don't want that sort of paganism type of ideal to come into play. I do want them to, like, if they go and, say, destroy this place and tear it down, they find and they discover that there was once a ossuary or a hidden church or a monastery underneath or within, and they find a tomb of a monk. So I don't want it to be like a ghost, though, where, because that's kind of pagan to me. Like, there's some stuff in the Bible and stuff about it, but I want to keep this more like they don't do it because they get a vision from a monk telling them to save, our body is desecrated. That to me is kind of not. I don't know. You can put in the comments if you have an example where that's biblically sound. I don't think I'm going to do it though, but I'll do a thing where if they do take these down, they discover there's a monk underneath. And the locals didn't know. Oh, we don't know. We just did what we're doing. So they're kind of somewhat innocent of this. But then it could be cool that here's where, okay. So there's really no fighting in this one, which is a good thing. There's no fighting in this. It's more of a investigative thing. And then, but the risk is, what if we take down all this stuff? And then they're saying, oh no, I know. Yeah, I know. They're saying the people will say, don't take it down. There's an evil spirit. There's an evil spirit. No, this was done to stop an evil spirit. See? So this is done. So if you take this down, the evil spirit will rise and destroy you. Don't do it, So thusly, when they take it down and they are fearing an evil spirit, they see some burials of a monk and I would say of like old, like some of the Bible in there, put in with the monk, buried, and then obviously the pagans covered them with their pagan kings and ancestors. So when they take it out, they realize that, and then the people are like, no harm or foul has come to the missionaries who remove the pagan stuff. And so then they're like, wow, this is amazing. This is a miracle. And then they see this, and then you can plant your church. See? Wow. So this is I'm just rolling these dice, going up and down on these charts, trying to figure it out, trying to figure out a storyline, a setting. And there's the variation and variables that you can have. And so this mission, super high, scary site, but yet no real violence. And if they just have the courage to take down this site, and the villagers are like, they're nice, right? They're nice. Don't do it. You're going to be cursed. They're going to be, oh, that's evil. But if the missionaries have the courage to take this down and make it kind of scary, where, and the king head falls forward and his sword, you could do like remember in the Northman where they had the dream where he fought one of the things, you could have if you really want, you could have like a not a dream sequence, but a spiritual warfare where maybe the warrior senses, I don't really want to do this, but and he has to fight it in a dream, not a dream, but whatever. I don't want to do it though. But just they take them down. It seems scary. These things might attack them. All these kings and these tombs and these and we take that one down. We burn it. We destroy it. Okay, and there were fire rises and the smoke, and just what happens? The fire rises and smoke and that's it. And then they finally look and they see underneath the buried tomb of a monk in the area who had converted, who they maybe heard of before and thought he was missing or whatever. And that right there, taking down that is a glory point, and then planting a church in that village is a glory point. It says 2 glory points right there. And I don't think that I wouldn't give them the third because there's 3 basic levels of glory points. Confronting and defeating somebody, it doesn't have to be violent, but or converting them. So that's the first one, is you convert the locals. And the locals here don't need to be converted necessarily because they are already considering the faith. So that one's kind of not really there. But if they destroy the altar, that's one. So that's the source of the paganism. And then because of that, and they find the monk and they find his relics, the Bible, and then people like, they want to take that and build a church around that Bible and that monk, around this cave maybe, or in the village. And that's the planning of the church. That's the second glory point. Well, that's technically the third, because the first one is which they don't get. But okay, so that's my little how you create your little missions and your own little home brews. And that's kind of what I'll probably be doing as I build out the campaign, the Dark Ages campaign, on this map right here. And I have this map here that kind of tells me what I want to put in those areas. So I'll have those be the sources of the paganism. And I'll probably be more manipulative and more adventurous with each of them. But boy, I really liked how I had to really work these charts here and figure it out, how to really put those together, because it makes it more. I'm going to put these charts a little closer together. Oh, I'll figure it out. They're only 2 pages away. But this one here, I didn't use this one, but this one is the village itself. What is their main source of whatever? So this could be another way of influencing it. And I should probably up to D12, but The higher it goes, the more it's towards the city, and the smaller the number. So you could use die ranks. You could use, if it's just a small village, I would use a D4, D6, and you'd only get the first couple. I should probably put that in here. Oh yeah, here, roll based on die comparison with the missionaries and the size of the location. Yeah, so it's already in there. So you don't want to do roll a D12 unless it's Rome or Milan or something like that. And that just gives you more flavor of the village. Like what is their focus, what is that you tend to see around you? Okay, so that's that. And so if you've gotten this far, I want to do a pitch on the website and the Kickstarter that I'm thinking the annual membership on my website is going to be $40 because I'm going to be providing a lot of stuff. You're going to be getting a lot of PDFs, a lot of tokens and assets, and that's for the year. I really want to make sure people that, we really are making this I don't know how to turn this into a business because I'm not a business person. I'm just an artist and a writer, and but I'm just going to try. And my Kickstarter, I wanted it to be free, the first PDF, just because I just wanted more eyes on it. I probably should have put a dollar value on it. Now that I'm thinking, now that the Kickstarter feels sluggish. But whatever. That's how I'm doing it. But the annual membership is going to be, you're going to get the post-apocalyptic one that's pretty much done. I just got to clean it up, and it's ready to go. I'm already play testing it, and it's a lot of fun. And I'm building a ton of assets that you can use. And it's got a hex crawl map type thing. Way more. And in the post-apocalyptic one, you can throw any kind of beast because it's all mutations, right? Gamma world mutation things. So I'm making all kinds of creatures for them to encounter and stuff. I also have a Christian sci-fi one, which is also not limited. Like the Dark Ages is I'm trying to limit it to the scope to that stuff. But the post-apocalyptic one and the sci-fi one, they're all mutant genetic engineering mutations of humans and creatures. And so that is, so the sky's the limit on that one, or the space is the limit. And so I'm creating a lot of assets, a lot of cool exploration stuff, and I'm playtesting that one, and I'm having a really wonderful time with just 2 players right now, and they're really excited. And one of them is a Star Wars RPG veteran, and I think he likes it. He's showing up and telling me and encouraging me, and so I'm grateful for all that. But that's a lot of stuff's going to be coming down the pipeline, and so I just want to know that you guys are interested in this, and the simplest way is that you put money into it. So that's kind of what we Christians do. We believe in that capitalism, and I'm doing creation tours, and so I told them I will just volunteer, right? The church or the creation group that's running it, and they said no, have them charge, make them charge, or charge them. Don't do it for free. They're telling me don't do it for free. Charge them because it means more when you charge people. It means more, and I absolutely agree with that because I back in the day when I was a CG animator, we all used to do pirating where we get all the software for free and get every freaking thing out there. 3ds Max, whatever all the other ones were. The auto, there's 3ds Max and the other one. What's the other one? Maya. All that, and then every freaking tool we used to get for free. Like everyone I saw had these tools. They had tons of them. They were all pirating, right? And I was like, but what are you doing with it? They did nothing. They did nothing with it. They were so useless in their obsession with, I got this one, I got this one, I got this one. Like, but what are you doing with it? Well, it's a cool tool. Yeah, but what are you doing with it? It's like it's almost like they're stealing, and yet their souls are being sucked, and so they don't really. When you pay for something. I noticed too, when I paid for my stuff, I actually used it. I actually cared and wanted committed to it, and I put my money into it. And everything I have, I'm paying for. Like this Adobe, I'm paying $50 a month for this. I guess 50. I don't know. It's $500 a year, $600 a year. So I'm paying that for that. I'm paying for the website. I'm paying for it, and I'm using it, and I believe in it. So that's kind of why I'm going to do that. I got to do that. Want to do that. Should do it philosophically, and Christian base should do that. And it's in the New Testament. If you don't work, you don't eat, type of thing. So they're saying you got to work, and then you should get paid. And even Paul was saying, as the apostles, that they should get paid for what they're doing when they went around to the churches and stuff. I mean, it's voluntarily paid, but they should be paid. And that's capitalism. Capitalism is voluntarily paying someone for their worth. But it shouldn't be free. You shouldn't be like, oh, you should just do it for nothing, kind of thing. Anyway, so lots of stuff coming down the pipeline, and lots of little tokens and drawings and doodles and set pieces and things like that. Okay, so yeah, so that's my little pitch too. If you can do the Kickstarter, I appreciate it, and also and by the way, if you do the Kickstarter, the annual membership from there is $25. So there's that if you join there. All right. Alrighty. So thanks for listening, and that's how you GM this stuff. That's how you set up your little adventures. And this is all about teaching lessons too. It's about teaching kids or family about the Christianity, how it, the way it was spread, how it spread, how it all happened. I think I'm trying to like replicate what I think was basically the dark, based on what I've been reading and how missionary work is done today. This is, but of course, doing it in a role-playing game, OSR style, game mechanics. Alrighty. That's it for now. Thank you.